Well, everybody, apparently I am part of a violent criminal organisation and I didn't even know. How is this possible? Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tom Fury and this is Urban Scoop. Talking about censorship when regards to YouTube these days is almost pointless. It seems almost redundant to cover it. As things have gone along, people have started to play by YouTube's rules if they want to stay on there. I've had a channel for 5 years on there that has not been taken down. So after that amount of time, the rules keep changing and changing and changing so that they can get rid of us. As a result, what you end up with is a set of rules that none of us have looked at for a while, and they're actually maniacally stupid, maniacally crazy, and it's actually worth just taking a little look to see exactly what they are doing. Today, we're going to look at the fact that my channel has just been, like many others, demonetized. Now, I was going to talk about many of the other creators that have been deplatformed or demonetized. And then when I started looking, even if I look for the last 6 months, the people with, say, 500,000 subscribers, or 250,000 subscribers or more, you're going into the hundreds. Going to the channels that are, say, 10,000 above, you're going into the thousands. I literally can't list them all for you. So I was going to do a bit of a deep dive into that. No, there's no point. What I can tell you is, the likes of people like Steven Crowder, Jordan Peterson, even Joe Rogan at times, all the way down to people like myself and Ronan Official, who is a lefty, who I interviewed, have all been demonetized for having the wrong opinions. At the moment, it seems like people like Matt Walsh are being demonetized for having opinions about the trans community. It seems like there's always something that YouTube are aiming for, whether it was COVID. They took people off YouTube for talking about COVID, and the very same conversations can be had on YouTube right now with no consequence. Whatever the narrative is at the time, YouTube will enforce with full force. But once it's over and they're on to the next agenda, you can say what you want. Once the agenda and the narrative is done, you can say what you want about it. Matt Walsh was an interesting case because, as I said, they've definitely gone hard on the immigration, which we'll come back to in a second. But also the transgender community. He basically just refused to address someone. I don't even think it was personally, but address someone by their pronouns, which ironically, when I looked around, not many people knew what those pronouns were for that person. But for this and his criticism of the trans and man and for his role in saying a man and a woman, he has been completely demonetized and is facing extinction from YouTube. And that's what really made me look back. When you go back over the last 5 years, the amount of creators you've lost, whether you like them or not, people like Milo, Alex Jones, we're going back that far, Katie Hopkins, all gone. I've sort of slipped through the cracks for 5 years. However, I suddenly found out I was part of a violent criminal organisation. What do I mean? So, just recently, a lot of my audience was saying your channel's being targeted. So I have 20,000 people on my channel. The numbers at 20,000 when I do a live are lower than they were when I had 300 subscribers. But it's ever since two things happened. I released the Southampton video, which is available here on Urban Scoop. You can watch Welcome to Southampton here on Urban Scoop. And I also won a free speech argument against them when I spoke out against immigrants. Since then, I've been shadow banned. Positive affirmation came in as much as I received what you're about to see. Multiple emails to videos I have on there. And as you see, they'll say that the main reason in big black letters is that I violate their violent criminal organization's policy. And that's on every email that I got. Now, if you look further down, it does also infer hate speech. Excuse me. So I've been demonetized, shadow banned. Basically, the channel's not good for much anymore. We'll come back to why that doesn't matter later. I don't know about you, but when I think of violent criminal organizations, I'm thinking of the mafia, I'm thinking of the triads, I'm even thinking of some lower groups, maybe a football firm. I don't think of small media companies. I don't think of individual creators going out and making videos and then offering them to Urban Scoop. I don't think of the Rape of Britain. I don't think of the rise of the Celts. How is making videos anything to do with being part of a violent criminal organisation? This is just pie in the sky nonsense, okay? So it's actually quite funny. It's like thank you YouTube for telling me that I was part of this violent criminal organisation, because I didn't even know. And the people that I work with in that organisation didn't even know either. None of us knew. So now I feel like we've got a reputation to live up to. So Urban Scoop, if you're listening, we need to start being more violent, we need to start being more organised, and we need to start being more criminal. Otherwise, we're not going to live up to our reputation that YouTube's just given us. Now, whatever happened, YouTube is still responsible because they've enabled this to be possible. But in closer look, it looks like, as you may see on screen now, that actually this was done by a community. Community of leftists, hope not hate, who knows? They targeted Tommy's content, as you can see. And if you go to one of these links, this is what you'll get. And these won't appear on any search lists or any search engines or anything else. This is what you will get, and this is what showed me that this actually could be a community strike. Nevertheless, it's YouTube's policies that have enabled the community to be able to do this. So the buck still stops with YouTube no matter what. And here is the irony. Whilst we're looking through the criminal organisations policy and everything else, just notice their blurb on free speech. Why bother even putting it there? It's embarrassing. I feel embarrassed for them putting it there. The first thing you've got to do when faced with madness is do your due diligence and make sure that whatever crazy rules they've come up with, to see if you actually have crossed the line on those rules. So let's take a look first off at YouTube's criminal organisation policy. So bear in mind what the content is that's been flagged for violent criminal organisations. So, what is the actual policy? If you're posting content, don't post content on YouTube if it fits any of the descriptions below. Now remember what the content is that got taken down, okay? Content produced by violent extremist, criminal or terrorist organisations. Content praising or memorialising prominent terrorist, extremist or criminal figures in order to encourage others to carry out acts of violence. Content praising or justifying violent acts carried out by violent extremist, criminal or terrorist organisations. Content aimed at recruiting new members to violent extremist, criminal or terrorist organisations. Content depicting hostages or posted with the intent to solicit, threaten or intimidate behalf of a criminal, extremist or terrorist organisation. Content that depicts the insignia, logos or symbols of violent extremists, criminal or terrorist organisations in order to praise or promote them. Content that glorifies or promotes violent tragedies such as school shootings. I believe in free speech, but if you're going to give credit where it's due, this is actually this is quite reasonable. If you're going to have these kinds of rules, this is quite reasonable. Here's the problem. We don't breach any of those rules. The videos that have been taken down don't breach any of those rules. Tommy doesn't fit in any of those rules. Urban Scoop doesn't fit within inside any of those descriptions. I don't fit within inside any of those descriptions. So let's have a further look into it. So it gives examples. Just to make sure that we're right? Raw and unmodified re-uploads of content created by terrorist, criminal or extremist organisation, celebrating terrorist leaders or their crimes or in songs or memorials. Content directing users to sites that espouse terrorist ideology, are used to disseminate prohibited content or used for recruitment. Glorified violence against civilians. Fundraising for violent, criminal, extremist or terrorist organisations. None of this applies to us. Not one single. I thought we would at least cross one box. We don't cross one single box. Those are well thought out, well researched, well executed documentaries. YouTube's obsessed with trying to make themselves into a Netflix. That's never going to happen, and they haven't got the message that nobody goes to YouTube for that. Now, YouTube being a communist organisation working with communists and everything else, people get the wrong idea in their head. They think that, therefore, they put their politics before everything. It's mostly true. But what you've got to remember is they still understand the bottom line. They still understand that to get their messages out, to have the policies that they have, they must make money. Same as China. China's a great example. China doesn't believe in capitalism for its nation, for its people. But China is engaged in a kind of pseudo capitalism where the world is concerned. China believes in capitalism when it's dealing with the world because it knows it's the one way of actually making money fairly. So they will use capitalism, and they do use capitalism all the time. What's happened is they've become terrified of their advertisers. So I've been demonetized, I've been flattened, as have many of the big ones, big channels. I said to you earlier on, but it doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Well, look where I am right now. Urban Scoop, getting more views than I would have got on my own channel. Look at where we are. We're decentralized. We are not regulated by the government. We are not told what to do. I'm not told what to do by Urban Scoop, and Urban Scoop's not told what to do by anybody. As a result, what do we have? We have complete autonomy. Even as a creator for Urban Scoop, I have autonomy. The only thing that Urban Scoop will do, where I'm concerned, if I make a video, is they say, yes, we want that one, or no, we don't. That's it. And if they don't want it, I can put it up on my channel. No censorship. We're decentralized. We don't need any of these platforms. We can use all of them, and the moment that one goes down or becomes unusable, we just go to the next. There was a time when all of us creators, Urban Scoop included, could have been taken down, could have been blockaded, could have been silenced. The fact of it is that even with the most ridiculous policies being thrown at us, we are now unsilenceable. We have this platform here, and this platform exists everywhere and nowhere at once. They can't silence us anymore. They can't silence Tommy anymore. They can't silence Danny anymore. They can't silence Chillits anymore. They can't silence any of us. We're all going to be here telling the truth, whether they like it or not. But it is worth you seeing these things for what they are. It's worth you seeing the words that they're using to try and take us down now. It's desperate, very, very desperate, and blatantly a political move. It's about the current narrative, the current agenda, and if you cross them on that, you're a goner.